I'm now going to turn it over to Cheryl and Lori is going to talk about hospitality, tourism, and culinary arts. It's all yours, Cheryl and Lori.
Cheryl and I are co-presenting, and like Joe, this is the first time I'm presenting. I've usually been a participant. So can you see the screen? Let's see. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay. Okay, so your students, well, let me preface this by saying the food service and hospitality departments used to be one department until a few years ago. And now we have separate counselors, and Cheryl is my partner in crime. We work closely to help students. I think Sheldon has available our culinary handbook and the video of our UH Manoa Culinology program. Thank you to everybody who's joining us today. I don't know about you, but we've been getting so much takeout during this period. I like to think we're helping our graduates out there stay in business. When your students come to the new student orientation part 2, this is where they will register and get advised. This is a sample of the PowerPoint we share with them. Okay, so of course, I introduce myself and then tell the students where we are. I'm in the food service building, which is the Oh Hello building. Okay. So really briefly, because we give the students handouts also, and we try not to give them too much information. I go through program requirements, culinary course requirements, and then they register. Okay. So what's unique about the culinary classes is that the lab courses, these are the actual cooking, baking, cost control, weight help service classes. They only run in half a semester terms. So we've got classes in the fall starting from August and ending mid-December, and another set of the same class starting in October and ending in December. So it's a little challenging for the students to put a schedule together. They can take 2 8-week courses which have the same times. They can take a 16-week English or math class. So we give the students a lot of options. Are there any questions? Okay. So as a suggestion, first semester students can take 3 of our lecture classes. And these are 2-credit courses which have very little or no prerequisites. The Culinary 111 class is a basic intro class. Okay, if you go into this major and you're a culinary student, what kinds of jobs are open for you? The next class, Culinary 112, is sanitation and safety. This course is, of course, very important if you're going to be working with food, and Culinary 112 is a prerequisite to the fundamentals of cooking and all other cooking classes. The Culinary 115 is our menu merchandising class, where students put together menus and touch on food costing. We also encourage students who like the hands-on components to take a dining room class where they wait tables. There's no prerequisite for this class. And also to take the fundamentals of cooking class. This is your first cooking lab where you're going to use your knives. You're going to dress in your chef's whites and actually start cooking. Other classes students can consider taking is our biological or natural science, which is the science of human nutrition. And if they want more credits, there's always the English and the math. Okay. So for culinary arts, and this is a little clearer in our program handbook because we do have a lot of different options. There are 3 associate in science degrees. The specializations include culinary arts, which is the most common. This is your basic cooking program where you will learn sauces, stocks, seafood, and poultry. The second major is baking. You'll concentrate on all the baked items, go into showpieces and wedding cakes. Then our third degree is the Institutional Food Service Management degree. This concentrates more on institutional food service, meaning the graduate wants to work in a kitchen, in a school, a hospital, or a nursing home. The AS in Institutional Food Service Management is the prerequisite to UH Manoa's Culinology degree, and I'll touch on that a little later. Okay. There are also short certificates in culinary arts, pastry arts, but also one in culinary competition for the students who make it onto our competition team and travel to compete in cooking competitions with other culinary students on the mainland. And finally, there's a short certificate of competence in dining room. Okay. Our transfer pathways, these are programs we articulate to. All of the AS culinary programs serve as prerequisites to UH West Oahu's Bachelor of Applied Science in Culinary Management. This is the degree for someone who wants to open their own business or wants a bachelor's in the field for other reasons. There are a lot of business and managerial courses when the student gets to West Oahu. Our second articulated program is UH Manoa's Bachelor of Science in FSHN in Culinology. Culinology is for the student who loves science. They love research, they love science more than they want to be a cook behind the line. Our first student is a Farrington High School graduate, went to KCC, got his degree, and was the first graduate from Manoa's Culinology program. His name is Alan, and he just got hired by Hawaiian Host, so we're proud of that. Okay, so, just to recap, we have associate in science degrees. We have a certificate of achievement for the student that has a shorter timeline or doesn't want to take all of the general ed required for the AS degree. And finally, we have the short-term certificates. We also offer our students competitions. We've been fortunate to be sponsored by Kahala Nui for a recipe contest that awarded students scholarships, as well as 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven challenged KCC students to come up with healthy options that could be sold in their stores that were shelf stable. So those are really good opportunities for students. I also wanted to mention that we are fortunate to be able to award between $70,000 and $95,000 in UH Foundation scholarships per year to our culinary majors. The funny thing is annually only about 40 to 45 students apply. So the average scholarship is pretty healthy. And let me know if you have any questions. I know this presentation is pretty short, but we have a lot of collateral up there.
Laura, sorry, are the scholarships need-based? Do the students have to show academic need?
They are need-based, but not to the extent of FAFSA being need-based. So we do ask, what is your financial need? They provide us some information, but a large part of the scholarships are based on voluntary service. Our students get involved with so many events out in the community. I think we provided 300 hours total of volunteer service to the Hawaii Food and Wine Festival. So we really encourage them to get out there, to be active. What's nice by the students doing volunteer service is they get to network with industry restaurants and industry chefs. So when it's time for them to look for jobs, they've already got contacts. Great questions. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Cheryl at this time.
Sure, you have to unmute yourself.
Sorry. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for not letting me go on for 10 minutes before. But welcome again. My name is Cheryl Fucino Nishida, and I'm the counselor in the Hospitality and Tourism Department. We want to welcome you all and thank you for taking the time today to learn a little bit more about our programs. It was so funny when I was hearing Laurie in her introduction, she mentioned, you know, that we were one department a while back. And she said, you know, a few years ago, but those few years ago have actually been 18 years since we've been a department. So for all of you high school counselors who are nodding your head, I know you've been along with us on the ride for a really long time. So yeah, it was, and the reason why I know it was 18 years, it was because I was on maternity leave when it happened and my boys have just turned 18. So, so let's see, let me just get started. Oops. Okay. Okay, can y'all see that? So, yeah, I want to take a little bit of time. You know, I remember the days when we used to welcome you all for high school counselor workshops on campus, and I miss that. And I know it's been a while since we've maybe had the opportunity to talk a little bit more and welcome you back to our campus. So I thought I would take a little bit of time just to share some general information about the industry, you know, things that we typically share with students. Introduce you to our department a little bit and our faculty, and then review some of our certificates and programs. And then lastly, wrap up with some possible suggestions for courses for high school students who are looking at joining us within this field. Okay. So this is a nice visual for students when we're talking about, you know, what hospitality and tourism is. I like to kind of throw that question out in the beginning when we do presentations, and students will give a variety of answers. And a lot of times, you know, all of those answers are correct because in our industry, it's multifaceted. And so you'll see, you'll see in this visual that it talks about all the different sectors. So students can be interested in various aspects of the travel portion of our industry, which includes airlines and cruise ships, rail, and so on. And then there's the lodging area. So anything in the hotel and resort sector would be considered lodging. There are event management and conventions, meetings and conventions. The restaurant, which is a large, you know, portion of the industry as well. In our program, we focus more on the front of the house aspect of food and beverage, as opposed to the culinary program that is definitely a strong, you know, back of house in the kitchens. Our program doesn't include any of the cooking aspect of culinary and restaurants. And the last area is recreation. And so that includes students who are looking at working at Disney or water parks. And in Waikiki, you know, it's all of our the hula shows and magic shows. So there's a lot of variety, I think, in this industry. And the other thing is sometimes students think, oh, I don't know if I want to work with the guests, our visitors. I don't know if I'm that comfortable. But we just also want to let them know that there are opportunities for front of the house as well as back of the house positions. So you are not necessarily working with the guests, or you don't have to. You can be in a back of the house position, like in accounting or in human resources, or and other areas, or culinary, which is a back of the house position as well, and you don't necessarily have to have direct guest contact on a regular basis. Okay, so here are some highlights about our program. So like culinary and liberal arts, hospitality is an open enrollment program, and so students don't have to be apply and be selected. All the student has to do is list hospitality and tourism on their application, and they can begin to take classes in the hospitality and tourism program. So a few highlights about our program. First of all the career technical programs have definitely a strong hands-on approach to classroom learning, and hospitality is follows suit with that as well, which when students are in their classes, this includes a lot of team projects where they're working in small groups on a regular basis throughout the semester. They'll do presentations. On the bottom, you'll see this is a picture of a group who was doing a presentation in marketing about the Pro Bowl, and so they're dressed appropriately. And in this shot here, this is Palakiko. I don't know, some of you might know Palakiko Yagodich, and he teaches our tour operations program. And so these students, these are students here, and they're actually on a Circle Island tour. So they rent a bus, they create the itinerary for the day, and they do a virtual, not a virtual, but an actual tour. So they have a fun time. Classroom sizes are small, any as small as 15 students for our internship, up to about 35 students in the max. So students are able to get a lot more individualized attention by our faculty. Okay, and last, we do have computer labs to support the student learning, and I'll talk a little bit more about the software. So within these labs, we do have specific software that helps to enhance the experience for students. So for example, in the front office management class, they're using a software called Inquest. And so students are actually learning not just by taking the quiz or exams and doing case studies, but they actually get to start to log in this property management system and start to learn more about the actual booking of rooms and how that whole process works within the front office area. And likewise, in Host 171, airline reservations and pricing, they also use what's called a live travel port system. So in this system, students are actually seeing what people out in the industry are using, and it's real time. So as rates change, as requirements are implemented, they can see that real time as they're working with the information as well. So it's not a canned program, but it definitely is giving them access to live information. Okay, so now I'd like to introduce you to our faculty. And for those of you who maybe haven't been to our department or met some of our faculty, we have some new people that we've added to our staff. And so this is our team. And we have a number of part-time and full-time faculty. Our newest members of our faculty are Kuzue. Takehiko Kuzue joins us from Mekai University, so we have a strong international presence. For those of you who are not really familiar with our enrollment, in the hospitality and tourism program at KCC, we probably have about a third of our enrollment from international students. And of that, primarily, majority of them, I would say, are from Asian countries, from Japan, Korea, China, but we also have students from Asia, parts of South America, Europe, Australia. So the neat thing for our local students is they really get a flavor of the diversity on our campus. So at any one time, we have over 100 students that are international within our program. And then the other person that's most recent to our staff, our team, is Jeff Yedlin, and he currently serves as the regional director for food and beverage of the Hilton. So, the nice thing is all of our faculty come from industry and have that background. So they're not just teaching from a textbook, but they're able to really speak from their personal experiences Let's see. And I would say I'm probably, you know, Dave, those of you, many of you may know Dave Evans, he's our department chair, and he likes to do like this average of how many years of service of, you know, between all of amongst the faculty on our in our department. And I think I bring the average down because I started in the industry, but I quickly decided that counseling was a route that I wanted to go. So I have like 5 years or less within the industry, but everybody else has, you know, the fact that our average is like 20 something years tells us, I guess, partly the age of our faculty, but also the experience that comes with it. Okay, so our certificates and degrees. So within the Hospitality and Tourism Department, we offer 2 concentrations. So the first is Hospitality Operations Management. And that's primarily for students who are looking at working in the hotels and resorts, in restaurants, anything within that sector. So unlike some other programs that are very job specific, like nursing, when you're preparing for a specific job, our program prepares students for an industry. So they have kind of a wide array of courses within their program that will introduce them to all of operations within a particular sector. So hospitality is the first. The second is Travel and Tourism Operations Management. And primarily the focus there would be for students who are looking and joining us in the airlines or travel tour companies, you know, partly, yeah, it's primarily in that area. And we often have students who are very interested in both and they just choose to do a double major. If you look at our program, you'll see that there are a lot more similar courses than differences. So it's very easy to do a double major, as it is with the culinary programs as well. Okay, so you'll also notice that we have associate in science degrees. So that would take a minimum of 2 to 3 years, depending on the course load of the student. But we also offer certificates that ladder nicely and will lead up to the associate degree. So certificates are automatically awarded as students complete requirements for the programs. So students can start with a certificate of competence of anywhere from 3 to 5 classes, have them apply toward the certificate of achievement, and then eventually to an associate in science degree. And that's a really nice benefit for students because they can use it as resume builders as they're applying for part-time employment, for internships, and as they continue on to the world of work. Okay, so this is a sample program sheet of our degree requirements, and I just wanted to show you a little bit. It is on the website, so you can take a look at that as well. But the way that the courses and the program sheets are broken down, I have them in the general requirements at the top. So this is very similar to our liberal arts program requirements, where you'll see your English, math, speech, and so on. So every associate degree, regardless of its contents specification in the major, will require a minimum of so many credits within the general education area. So this next portion here, which we call our core, includes all the same courses for both concentrations. So whether you're hospitality or travel and tourism, all students are taking these same courses. And of this list, well, you can't really see the number here, but this is Host 293, which is our internship class. So that's the class that's shared, again, with the culinary program, as well as hospitality and tourism majors. And that's where students have the opportunity to get some practical work experience. So that networking opportunity that Laurie was talking about, working with the professionals in the industry, and you know, just also being able to have the opportunity to get their feet wet and see what it's like, because for some of them, they may not have had a job in the industry prior to joining us here at KCC. And lastly, the bottom portion here focuses on the concentration areas. So this is an example for hospitality and tourism. You'll see that the courses are more specific to someone who wants to work in the hotels and resort sector. So there are a couple of classes that are food and beverage focus. So the dining room class that Laurie was talking about, our hospitality students may take that as well, or they can elect for events management course if they have a more specific interest in that particular area. They also will take a food and beverage operations class. So those are the two food and beverage side courses. And on when you're looking at a hotel, there's the food and beverage division and the rooms division. So the housekeeping and front office courses take care of rounding out the students' background in the rooms division. So the way that these, I know everybody's program sheets might look a little bit different, but the way that the information is organized here, what we try to do in our department, oops, sorry, technical difficulty. Okay, so these two columns here on the right provide some information for students who are looking at transfer. Because even though students are starting with the associate degree, some of them do, and we encourage them to consider looking on to transferring toward bachelor's degrees as well. So as students are planning for their associate degree requirements, they can also plan for the appropriate courses that will be applicable toward the UH Manoa Travel Industry Management Program or UH West Oahu's business degree with a concentration in hospitality and tourism. I'll talk a little bit more about the UH West Oahu agreement in a little bit. Okay, so in addition to the associate degree, we have in the last few years, we recently developed 300 level courses, upper division courses. And that's part of what we call an advanced professional certificate that's available. So students may not feel like they're ready or wanting to go and complete an entire bachelor's degree. So we try to introduce it in maybe baby steps for some of them who are unsure. And we really feel that these, you know, we spent a lot of time working with our industry partners and an advisory board and got a lot of feedback. And these are really timely topics that I think are important for students as they get into the industry right now. So the first one is a timeshare course. We have one that focuses on sustainability, revenue management, a strategic leadership course. And then we rounded it out with some culinary upper division classes as well, because we feel like the food and beverage side is also a big portion of the industry. Okay, so this, oh shucks. So this advanced professional certificate, along with our associate degree, can transfer as part of our articulation agreement with UH West Oahu, so that the student has, actually the challenge sometimes in working with students is to get them to take enough credits at UH West Oahu, because there are so many credits that they can take with us here at KCC. So it's a benefit to them to be able to have so many of their credits transfer. And a quick tidbit right now, I don't know, I'll cross my fingers, I don't know if and when this will change, but right now our upper division classes are still being offered at the KCC tuition rates. So students don't have to pay you know, West Oahu prices or UH Manoa prices. We do have students who also transfer to UH Manoa, occasionally to mainland colleges as well, but the trend has been more toward UH West Oahu recently because of the strong articulation that we have. So the last thing that I wanted to share, I know sometimes this is a question that comes up. So what should students be studying, or what kind of courses should they be looking at while they're in high school if they're preparing for hospitality and tourism careers? So first I would want to say that we do have an equivalent of course agreement between the UH community colleges, so that would be, and the DOE. So that would be a really good recommendation for those of you in your high schools who are offering these courses, where students can get dual credit, taking these courses in the high school and also transferring it toward their degree requirements at KCC. English and math every year. I always am a strong supporter of that. And I always tell students, how many, semesters of math are you going to take? And they're like, well, I only need 2. And I'm like, take it every year, because if you stop in your sophomore or your junior year, then number 1, you get rusty. And number 2, now you're going to have to pay for those additional courses at the college level. So that's definitely a recommendation for years of English and math. Some kind of communication course would be really helpful, because they do a lot of presentations in our program. So that would be helpful. Also, having additional languages in our industry. There actually are language pay differentials in certain companies. So if someone has fluency in a different language, then they can get a little bit extra boost in their pay. Business courses are always very helpful and will help to support the requirements in the at the college level as well. So accounting classes, marketing, and any kind of computer related course as well. We do have a course, the ICS 100 or 101 requirement, that focuses on the Microsoft package. So if they can get more exposure to that and any other kind of presentation softwares, etc., would be really, really helpful. And that's it. Any questions?
Actually, I might have one. How, for both you and Lori, how would you address the current state of our island now that hotels are closed, restaurants are closed? What is the message that's going out to your students who perhaps might be a little concerned of what the future looks like?
You want to go first?
Okay, and I had the same question from an exchange students. We have a dual degree agreement with Nakamura Gakuen University in Fukuoka. And the 2 students here, they want to stay in Hawaii. They did not want to go back when the travel restrictions were set. They're interning with Cheryl's host 293 this summer. And they also are worried. So what we told them was, of course, we hope that the food and beverage and hospitality industry rebounds. If not, our sector, which includes hospitality, business, and culinary, has an Ignite internship program where there are internships on campus should the industry not have jobs for the students. And Cheryl can probably add.
Yeah, so even on the hospitality side as well, we do have some opportunities in the summer. We're looking at internships being probably more likely back on track in the fall semester. So I think the summer internships are going to be more limited, and they're looking at creative ways. We've been reaching out to our industry partners and looking at things like, because this is such a great learning experience too, to be able to experience what's happening with COVID and how companies are addressing, these times. So we are looking creatively at students being able to be part of those kinds of experiences as well. And for our international students, we have a number of international students who went home once we went online, and some of them plan to look at doing internships within their home countries as well.
Funny, not funny, but I was on a panel discussion yesterday, and I think there were 2 terms that came up, which was accepting change and resiliency. So I think, like you shared, what I think programs are doing is adapting to these changes, and I think the students are showing a large amount of resiliency. They're just plowing through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, one more comment, if I can make a comment about
Sure.
the classes and, being able to try to accommodate the unknown, right, of what's going to happen. And so definitely for the summer classes, we're looking at offering all of our classes online. In the fall, you'll notice that some of the classes are listed face-to-face, but, we are also trying to prepare for the possibility of whether or not we might need to continue our transition to an online basis. So our faculty are trying to get creative, and we're not sure how to market it, but if we plan to do it that way. But even a course that's listed face-to-face, faculty are looking at a way to be able to maybe bridge the two. So even though it's a face-to-face class, if somebody is staying, you know, in their home country or doesn't feel comfortable coming to class, they'll do a blend of, you know, zooming them in so they can still interact with the face-to-face students. So that's just, I mean, literally, we were just talking about it yesterday in our department meeting. So we'll see where that takes us.
All right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
just
Lori.
one quick thing. What we're doing in our culinary labs is we're working to set up an arrangement, I believe, with Foodland, where the department is purchasing raw food products and arranging for either pickup if the student has a car or home delivery of the product. So, you know, should this shutdown period go on longer, students will prepare the dishes online, you know, submit a video to the instructor. Of course, the instructor can't taste it, but I think we wanted to do something which would not require that students that catch the bus have to take the bus. But I think all departments are thinking of alternative ways to help the students learn during this time.
Thank you so much. And again, I put up their contact information in the chat box. I also uploaded all their documents onto our Google site. And so you're more than welcome to access that. So thank you again, Lori and Cheryl. Really appreciate it.